Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of the ramblings of a first time game developer. And this time I have a few UI things to show and also some kind of logic about my dog. Oh, yeah, dog is new, I guess, compared to last time. As well as I have this UI a bit for looking at the mood or the status of my dog. And also now starting up with some of the questing as part of my game. So let's dive into this a little bit. I guess first up, I did redo my interaction system a little bit. What I worked on was making things a bit cleaner. I made it so that interactions only happen when they are triggered by a character. So this could be a person or a dog or whatever. But objects can't interact with each other. And this cleans up things a little bit for me in terms of logic and organization. But I don't want to go too much into that because I think I talked quite a bit about the interaction system. Most of it didn't change in terms of structure. It's more just how do we recognize when interactions are happening. The thing that I wanted to talk about is actually the dog for now. So the dog was the first thing. And it's just a regular character 2D, or no, area 2D, I guess, or maybe a character 2D. It's based off the character class. And yeah, let's take a look at the dog closer. So the dog is just a character and it really doesn't do anything different than a normal character. But I did work on the AI a bit for this because when I was first building this part, I was having it so that the player or the game could decide what the action of the dog was. So will the dog follow the player? Will the dog walk to something? Like what does it do necessarily based on things? And this was becoming like very like straightforward. It was like the game would decide, or like if the player did something, like if I put the food bowl down, then the dog would walk to the food bowl and eat it. But I wanted to have more of a AI behind the dog, and I was trying to think of how I wanted to control this. So I thought it would be a nice idea to have some stats for the dog, and this would kind of drive its basic behavior. So in the top left corner, you see I have like hunger, thirst, and stimulation. Hunger, obviously, how hungry the dog is. Thirsty. Stimulation would be like if the dog is bored or engaged. And my thought was basically, when thinking about the dog behavior, the most important would be the dog need. So when I look at the directions, the first thing I'm checking is, what is the current need of the dog? So if the dog is hungry or thirsty or whatever, then that need trumps all other behaviors. So it's not going to be doing anything else except pursuing this need. And now, pursuing this need could lead to different things. Maybe they'll follow the player, maybe they walk to the bowl, maybe they'll eat or do whatever. But for example, let's say the dog was just like following the player, but it didn't have a need. Like maybe you're just outside walking the dog. If the dog suddenly got tired or got hungry, then it might stop following the player and then try to find food. Or it follows the player with the intention of finding food. And so this is what I started to build out. And I built out some of the basic interactions again. So I have this needs system, and basically whenever those needs get under a certain level, I think right now I have it set to 0.7, then that need takes priority. And then until that need is met, no other action can be taken. And so the thing about the dog, when this is happening, so let me maybe make the screen a little bit smaller, put it on this side. Let's bring up the console as well over here, so you can see. So I have it so that right now, when I'm moving around, if the dog gets hungry, so I'm just artificially making 100, it follows me. If it sees a food bowl, it goes to the food bowl and then it barks. So this is the idea of like seeking attention. I was going to code this into some kind of animation at some point, but in general, if it were to follow me, so the first kind of train of thought is that first it looks to find food. If it's walking to the dog bowl, it found that the dog bowl is empty, and now it's following me to get my attention. So then unless I feed it, I made this so it can't be picked up. So unless I feed it, then it can finally eat. And when it eats, then its hunger is finally done. And now it's no longer following me. You can see that the state is now idle. So I think this allows for some interesting things to show up later on. So right now it's just quite simple. And I hope to expand this thing because I want to think about more random actions in general. Like what does the dog do regularly? So depending on the needs and the balance of needs, maybe it wants to play, maybe it wants to follow the player, maybe it wants to sleep. But then I can start building this out a little bit more clearly. So this is kind of my two-layer system right now. First it's needs, and then it's general state behaviors. So they should be all kind of quite similar, I think. Yeah. And so then, yeah, here's my seek attention thing right now. It just barks and then follows the player, but maybe, it could destroy something, or maybe it could, surround the player and like run around the player and try to get their attention. So I think there could be a lot of options here, and maybe I want to randomize this, or based on the need that they're trying to meet, maybe the dog will do different kinds of attention-seeking behavior. And then, yeah, just walking is fairly straightforward. I think I had that last time. Yeah, so I think that's kind of where I was at with the dog behavior. And then I hooked this up to a UI, so I have this like signal that updates based on the needs that the dog currently has. I don't think there's anything crazy there. I did add this debug label just to make things easier for me to see without having to freeze everything, so that's why you see kind of this stuff above. I also have this on the player if I need to, but there's nothing really here for the player yet that in terms of state. Cool. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say about the state for now. I think there needs to be a lot more involvement on this thing to think about how I want to handle this, the different interactions, what behaviors are possible. But for now, I think it's quite a clear, good start, but will probably also change in the next couple weeks as I dive deeper into some of these things. The other thing that I want to show is the quest system that I started to create. So here you can see that I have this like UI here. This is what I call my quest UI. So if we dive into this scene, so I have this quest scene, which consists of a quest object and then just a title. And then in the script for this, you can add the active quest. So when we have an active quest, then what happens is we create some quest objectives with the checkboxes. So that's what you see here. So if we look at a quest objective, it's just basically a checkbox and a description. And this objective does have some code. So basically, this objective does have some code where when the objective is met, then the signal is emitted, and then we just set the checkbox to true. And all of these then can be plugged into different kind of resources. So if I go to my resources folder, I have the day one quest, which is feed and give water to your dog. There's the title, a dog in a bowl. And then these are the quests that are included here. Let me just clean this up a little bit just so I can show you how one is added. So right now I have a whole dog food and fill dog food. I realize I think I need to go back here because I made it so the dog bowl can't be picked up. Yeah, so let's make this holdable again. So what happens is here I have two things. If I pick up the dog bowl, dog food, then I get this checked off, and then if I fill it, then this thing also gets checked off. And the way that works is I have this basic quest objective, which is just a kind of resource with just a property for if it's completed or not. And then when it's completed, what will it do? So it's just going to emit this signal. And then each thing that inherits from this thing must implement a start method. The start method is just about connecting signal. So what does this objective need to listen to know that it's complete? So for example, when we're holding something, I have a signal when something's picked up, and if that thing that's being picked up is being picked up by the player, then this event is emitted. And then what we can do is just check the object. Does the object match the description that I'm looking for? And here I'm using interaction ID. This is one way in which that I can kind of track certain things. So interaction ID again for me is the kind of interactions that are possible. So here if I go to the food bowl and then take a look, then these are the interactions that are possible, and each of these has its own ID. So if something can be filled by dog food, this is like the dog food bowl. This is interaction ID 2, I guess, or 3 maybe. And so based on those things, I can track to see if something's a dog bowl or if something's dog food, for example, without having to add types right now to everything. So all I'm doing is checking to see, is the thing that's being picked up, does it have the interaction of being picked up, or does it have the interaction of being dog food? So that's the holdable one. So I have this quest object hold, and it just listens for this event. And if it matches, if the ID matches what's being picked up, then it gets marked as complete. So if we look at then the different kinds of resources that I made from that, so whole dog food, for example, then is a type of this hold quest objective. And then I just set the interaction ID. So this one is if you hold something that can fill dog food. So this would be my kibble bag. And then I give a description for this thing. But this makes it then easy to add other kinds of objectives of picking things up. So if I want to just pick up a food bowl, then I just need to create another resource and then change the ID to, you know, being filled by dog food. So anything that's filled by dog food, so all the dog food bowls would then be triggered on this and can be tracked. Similarly, like if you want to hold the water bowl, same exact thing. So there's nothing really special here anymore. But what's nice is then once I create one general kind of quest, so holding quest or objectives, holding objectives or filling objectives, then I can track them and just add them. And then the last one is the dog need objective. So the dog need objective is just basically saying which dog need do I care about and what level does the dog need which level does the dog need to be. Sorry, that was confusing. So in this case, then dog is fed. It's just tracking the need to eat and making sure that the level was 1. So this UI thing that I'm showing here, it goes from 0 to 1. And then to just add things, then I can just add it here. So this is the quest for day 1, and I want to be able to feed the dog by the end of the first, you know, tutorial session. So we have to hold the dog food, pick up the dog food, we have to fill the dog food bowl, and then we have to make sure the dog is fed. So that one is, oops, sorry, that's a quick load. And then this one will be dog is fed. So now if I go here, take a look at my quest again. So again, once I pick up the dog food, once I fill it, the first 2 are checked off. And right now the dog is not hungry, so I just had a key press here to make the dog hungry. So now that it's hungry, eats, and now the whole thing is finished. And so that's kind of my quest system. And so I think, again, this makes it quite easy to expand and to build off of different kind of quests in the future. I'm not really sure what to do and how to save these resources yet, and I think that's going to come not right now, but I think I need to track for sure. Like if you know, we finish halfway through and we close the game, how do we know what's the state of this current quest? So I think I'll probably also need to introduce quest IDs so that then we can retrieve the status of each objective within that quest. But I think that is pretty much it that I wanted to show for now. So yeah, let's keep this one fairly quick. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, I guess. I don't know. Cool. Bye.